Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Beta Alpha Psi meeting. Today, we have Anthony Spadaro here for Bank of America to come speak to us. Again, make sure to please turn your cameras, to ask a lot of questions. And Anthony, the floor is yours.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining, guys. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to talk with FDU students wherever I get a chance to. Over the last couple of months and years since I've been out of school, I've been trying to meet as many students as I can and help wherever possible. So it's always a good opportunity to get to talk and meet with different folks at the university. So I guess I'll start and give a little background on myself. I graduated FDU with a major in finance, accounting, a minor in 2016. So I'll be out of school about 7.5 years now. So in school, I had a bunch of internships. I interned at Merrill Lynch. I interned at the ACO company, which I really enjoyed in Parsippany. And then I also had an opportunity to intern at JP Morgan Chase, all of which I would not have been able to do without the help from Mary and Patricia in the advancement office. So I definitely recommend living in Mary's office. Whenever good opportunities are going to come, she's going to be the first person to know about them and make sure you're aware of it. So I definitely enjoyed my time there. I played football for 3 years. I met a lot of really good guys. Still talk to them now. So I enjoyed my time tremendously on campus. I also was involved in Kappa Sigma as a founding father. So I was involved on campus and really enjoyed my time there. And then right after school, I started my career at Bank of America in the CFO group. Think all of closing the books and records, P&L, balance sheet, all of that really fun and important stuff. Closing the books for month end, for quarter end, year end, things like that. I've really enjoyed my time doing that. Moved over to Mizuho, which is a small Japanese bank. Got to see a smaller bank doing similar type work, which I enjoyed tremendously. It was learned a lot, met a lot of really good people, but then got an opportunity to come back to Bank of America at a different role within the Munis business, and that's where I am today. So that's a quick minute or so background on me, and then Jack, we could take this wherever you want. Any questions you want? I'm completely open to however you want to take this.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone have any questions to start off with? Yes, Joe.
Thank you for taking the time to take my question. I'm just curious, what made you leave Bank of America in the first place? I
Yeah,
know you
really.
managed to get your way back, but
Yeah, really, really good question. And for me, to be honest, it was the team I was on had a lot of really, really good people, but the work was just a tremendous amount of work. And it was a very tough day in and day out job. And I didn't mind it at all when we were in person because our team was so strong and I just enjoyed the personal aspect of being with the team. Once COVID hit, which I'm sure was very big for you guys, that wiped out a bunch of your pretty important life milestones hit, and we went remote. It took all the fun out of the job, and it was just all the things that I didn't love in the respective job. And people started leaving, and there was a lot of backfill that we didn't have a chance to hire back on. So it just became a very high stressful time, and I had an opportunity to go to Mizuho. It wasn't. I Going to the smaller bank was always something I wanted to do, also just to kind of see how a smaller bank operates. I learned an absolute ton, worked a lot of very long, hard hours, but I don't regret it at all because I learned an absolute ton. So it was good to see the bigger bank, so the second or third largest bank, depending on what metric you're looking at, and then still a pretty big bank, but significantly smaller, just to kind of see similar but different experiences. But I'm happy to be back at Bank of America. It's a firm that I really enjoy to be a part of. Their values align really well with my values, so I'm definitely happy to be back.
You want to say any questions? I actually have a question. What was your favorite FDU moment when you were an undergraduate student?
Favorite moment? Um, Probably, I'm not sure if I should say this on a recorded line, but probably senior weekend. We all jumped in the mansion font in the fountains, and that was pretty fun. It was a good last. But really, so it's funny. Like when I think of my favorite moment, it's not necessarily one or two moments that made my time so valuable there. It's just the multiple little moments of you get out of class, you're stressful, you're not having a good day, and your three best friends are in your dorm room, and you can just kind of hang out and throw a football there, and just to always have someone right there and close friends by and professors was something I really, really liked. A couple internships. So senior weekend was definitely fun just because it was something that we all looked forward to. But also, I think a lot of just living with a bunch of people that I have a ton of respect for and became very, very close and friendly with was something that I really, really enjoyed. Also, one other, sorry to cut you, one other really cool thing was, I'm not sure if they do it now, but we had the finance club when I was there. Ken Betts ran that, and we got an opportunity to go on the floor of the stock exchange. So that was pretty neat. We took an elevator down the Federal Reserve Bank, 7 or 8 stories below ground, and they had a lot of gold. I don't even want to make up a number because I don't know the amount of gold it was, but tremendous amounts of gold. And that was a pretty cool trip too. So if they ever offer something like that, I definitely recommend raising your hand and volunteering for that.
Hi, so I actually also have a question. Thank you so much for coming. I'm also the vice president of the club. My question would be, which advice would you give to people that start to work in the field that you work in?
Yeah, really good question. So the most important thing that I tell everyone whenever I hire for a role or I talk to anyone is people have to want to enjoy being around you. So never say that's not part of my job responsibility. Whatever anyone ever asks of you, do and do a great job. And if there's something that and doing that helps you make a lot of really good friends around the organization, and being friendly and being personal with people inside your group and outside your group is going to help you tremendously. I know I have an example I always like to reference was when I was first at Bank of America, there was a gentleman that he and I were very friendly. We never worked together, but was very, very friendly. But he had a reputation on the floor of being impossible to work with. People always thought he was very rude and jaded and just cranky, not a good guy to work with, which was always surprising to me because he and I had a great relationship personally. We would talk about the Giants or talk about how his dog was doing, all little things like that. And then someone left and I was inherited this process that I wasn't trained on all that well. And I had no idea how to do it. I was going to try my best, but needed help from someone. And miraculously, he knew this process really, really well and helped me out. So it's just go with an open mind, be personable, help people wherever possible, and you're going to do really well. Being at FDU, you know that you're getting your educational part of it, so you're going to be qualified for the role from that front. But on the interpersonal side, just be there and be willing to help wherever possible.
That's great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's definitely good advice.
You're welcome.
I have a question, Anthony.
What
would be the best piece of advice you want to give to someone who is looking for a summer or spring internship in finance?
Yeah. So my biggest piece of advice would be twofold. One, like I said earlier and hinted at, live in Mary's office. I would stop in at least once or twice a week just to say hello, and just because she gets so many good opportunities that come her way, and you want to be top of mind to always make sure that she's keeping opportunities open. So and if there's ever any kind of career fairs or things like that, like I just saw, I don't remember if it happened already or if it was planned, but there was the accounting and finance open house. Go to those type of things, meet people on campus. So that's definitely a big part of it. And then the second part of it is more of what you could do personally, is make sure to do really well in all your classes. I personally look for high GPAs. It's an important thing. And then another really important thing is be involved on campus. I don't care what it is, student government, band, sports, fraternities. I don't care what it is. Be involved on campus, because it's very easy to get a 3.5, 4.0 GPA if you're in the library for 10, 12 hours a day. It becomes a lot more difficult to do that when you're spread thin and have internships and classes and soccer or tennis or golf or anything like that. So it's definitely twofold. One, meet with Mary and the team to work on your resume and make sure that side of your student whole being is sharpened, but then also from yourself, wherever you can, make your resume as strong as possible with on-campus involvement, GPA, all things like that.
What types of work did you do while you were working at Bank of America?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What type of work did you do when you were working for Bank of America?
Yeah, so really good question. So I've been in 2 different departments at Bank of America, and they are quite different. So my first role, I was in the CFO group. So the CFO of our firm is Alistair, really nice, smart guy. He reports into the CEO, Brian Moynihan. And we touched every single part of the books and records. So think of all of your accounting classes, your income statement, your balance sheet, profit and loss statement, all of those, we own that. So that would be, we'd post journal entries at month end for systems that don't flow correctly. So think of if you have an asset account that's posting to the wrong account, you have to move it over, or so we would do different entries like that. We also did a really interesting portion that I find tremendously interesting called price testing, where essentially we would test what our trader thinks a position is worth compared to what the street thinks it's worth. And that way we see if he or she is marked to book fairly. Think of Enron or any of the other big finance scandals. Those would not have happened had price testing been required, which it is today. So the easiest way I like to describe that is, if I have this water bottle and it's worth $20 and I say that it's worth $1,000 and I mark my books so that it looks like I have $1,000 unrealized gain, when one of you guys come in and say, you look on the Yeti website and you see that it's $20, something's not right. So then I have to fix my position. This happened a lot with Enron, where they were completely mismarking their books and saying something was worth 1,000 when it was worth 10 or 0 or a loss, actually.
I'm sorry, is Enron a bad comparison because there wasn't a market. So I understand. I worked for the P&L group for a long time too, and you just had outside mark-to-market stuff. I mean, Enron was an unusual situation.
Fair. Yeah. So I guess I didn't study that case as well, but if they were marking their books kind of thing. So that was on the P&L side of it. And thank you for correcting me on that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, don't tell people that, because that was the whole problem about Enron. There was no market. So how can you price something when there's no market?
That's fair. So I have to I want to look more into that for myself, just to understand that, because I guess I didn't know the Enron case as well, but so I apologize for misspeaking to that.
Oh, no. I just don't want to get confused. All right.
Thanks. So that was all in the CFO group and looking at pretty much any of the books and records that were being touched. And in my role now, I'm more of a strategy and initiatives for our municipal banking and markets business. So our group provides treasury services. Think what any of us would have in our wallet today, whether it be a credit card or we have a checking account with Bank of America. Our group does that, but instead of for individuals like you or I, we do that for large corporate governments. So it's different states, different community colleges, large state universities, all of that. And essentially our group is the COO function for that. So how could are we paying a fair interest rate on the deposits? How is our credit card fee schedule fair with the market? Things like that, to see how we could better and more efficiently run our treasury business. That's what I'm doing now. So I'm really, really enjoying this role. I enjoyed my time in the CFO group, but overall, it's just a really great company that I'm really enjoying working for.
I have a question. Are you required to transfer to different areas in Bank of America? Is that something that they suggest that people do, or do they have paths that are sort of outlined for you?
So really, really good question. So nothing's required, but within certain departments, they do want to have some type of mobility within different roles. So they don't necessarily say a time frame, but typically 18 months to 2 years, maybe 2.5, 3 years is a good amount of time. And so, like when I was in the CFO group, that was the amount of time that most folks would spend in one role, and then go on and move around within that group to see if there's something you like different or you like better, or maybe you like worse. So that's definitely something that a lot of folks would do. They'd go to a role, do really well in that role, meet some great people, and then move on to a different part within the department. The thing that I love about the bank so much is internal mobility is a tremendous pillar of the company. So you'll see some folks that are in a different department and then they move around to different parts of the bank, which I haven't been at any other banks for the most part. So I don't know how much that is on the street, but internal mobility is a tremendous part of our core values. And From our perspective, we would much rather keep good talent and move them internally if someone wants a different experience than to lose someone to one of our competitors. So that is something that we definitely like to stress. Very good question.
Any questions? As you are, since you are in the finance industry, how important it is to get certified? Like I know for accounting majors, we have like the CPA and the CMA designation. Like how important it is to get for finance majors a CFA designation?
So a lot of it's going to vary 100% on what you want to do. If you want to trade or be an investment banker, you need certain licenses that are non-negotiable, regardless of what bank you're at. Think Series 7, 63, all of those. That's completely non-negotiable. It's illegal for you to touch a position without having that license. There are certainly parts of the bank or part of the banking industry that you don't need any license. I do not have any license at all, and not quite sure if there's potentially some that I'm looking into, but nothing that I need for my day job today. The CPA is tremendously valuable, very valuable. A lot of folks that I work with have it today. And the CFA is also very valuable if it's something that would make you a stronger candidate, but nothing's required. I guess as some hiring comes, as hiring gets tighter, sometimes the requirements will increase for positions. So some companies will be looking for an MBA or a CFA or a CPA, but nothing is required for my area. And just to kind of recap, if there are certain parts of the industry that non-negotiable, you do need licensing for.
If you had to go back and tell your past self one piece of advice that you want to tell your past self, like, oh, I wish I did this, while I was in college, like, what would be that piece of advice?
So I don't have very many regrets. My biggest regret was senior year around spring or so. I was very scared to not graduate without a job. That was my biggest fear. I wanted to graduate and have a position. So I accepted, which I should not have done, a position at JP Morgan in the Delaware office. I didn't really want to go to Delaware. I have very strong family roots in the Northeast, and more specifically the New York City metro area. And I accepted a job that I was not comfortable moving and uprooting my life for. And ultimately, I got really cold feet and told them that I did not want to accept the offer pretty close to the position date, which I feel bad for. I later found out that they did backfill someone and she did great in the role. So that worked out really well. But my biggest piece of regret was not asking if the position could be moved from Delaware to New York without making my final decision. So the biggest advice I tell everyone is if there's something that you've thought a decision about and it's in your best interest, speak up and ask. The answer could always be no. But if you don't ask, it couldn't be. So, I mean, it could have been if I spoke to JP and said, hey, can you please move this position to New York? They probably could have said no, which I would have been in the same spot. Or if they said yes, I would have started my career at JP instead of Bank of America. So not necessarily that it's regret, because I really enjoy the path that I was on at Bank of America, but it's a good value of if there's something that's interested to you and important to you, speak up and see where it could possibly lead to.
Yes. Do you know of any internship opportunities that Bank of America is offering?
There are. So if you check the career site, and I sent the link to Mary and Pat, there's 2 internships that are being opened through, I want to say November 19th or 15th, at some point in November. So the first one was my first role essentially out of school was in the CFO group, a really, really strong, good role. I would argue one of the best on the entire street. And the reason I think it's so valuable is because you start your internship your 10-week internship is in one part of the CFO group. And then if you do a good job, which I'm confident anyone on the line would, you come back full time and do a 1-year rotation in a certain part of the CFO group. And then you rotate for a second time within the CFO group again. So you're out of school 2 years and you've had 3 distinct opportunities. So that one speak with Mary. She has the link to that role. Or if you send me an email, I could email you the link, but it's on the Bank of America career site. And there's a bunch of other internships that the bank has. So just pop in on any of those. If there's any that you want or apply to, send me an email. Jack, you can forward my email over to everyone. I'm more than happy for you to send that out or reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll send a recommendation internally for whoever would like me to. But they are all on the career site, and I would apply now because once November hits, the bank already starts to look towards summer of 25. So now's a good time to start applying for things.
We will do that. Does anyone have any questions on Zoom? Yes. I don't have any questions.
Adam, do we have any finance majors in the room right now? Adam, you're an accounting major. I know Gloria is. Anthony, do you find that the bank favors either accounting or finance, or maybe those with both? Do you see any preference in hiring?
I don't think there's necessarily a preference. I think both finance and accounting are tremendously important and very valuable to doing well in the role. Another regret potentially would have been I wish I would have taken more accounting classes because I was strong in my finance classes. We had tremendous professors, Professor Betts, Cowan, very, very lucky. Our accounting professors were really, really strong too. I remember probably my favorite, I'm not quite sure if she's there, but Professor Collier, really, really strong. I can't see who it is. It's so small.
I was looking at you and thinking, I think I had it in class, and I'm just.
Oh, that's funny. She didn't even pay me for that, for anyone on the line.
What year did you graduate?
2016.
Okay.
So I had you for 2 classes, and I wish I would have taken them more seriously. I took them serious. I got an A. I tried really hard, but I knew I wanted to go into finance. Little did I realize that I'd start my career booking entries for the first 5-6 years, and had I paid a little bit more attention and kept better notes, I probably would have booked a lot less things backwards. But that's why we have the internal controls to have approval of journal entries and things, which I'm sure you guys are covering in your finance and accounting classes. But every class you're going to take, for the most part, some classes I thought was a big waste of time, but we'll not get into that of the whole self type of part of it, but we're not going to talk about that. But all of the business classes were tremendously valuable. Accounting classes are very important. Finance classes are very important. Even like the marketing classes, just to think how you market yourself. I mean, look on the Bank of America, you watch TV and there's commercials and things. So Silberman set me up tremendously well for the professional world, and I'm very, very fortunate for that. And that's why I always love it, any opportunity I have to talk back. So I really appreciate that. And that's very funny, Professor Collier. I did not know that you were in the back corner of that room. It's very small on my screen. So it's
no problem. Yeah, and thank God you don't get to see me up close. Yeah.
I actually have another question.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for all of your answers before. I appreciate it. My question would be, what advice would you give for students when applying to internships at your firm? Like, what are some tips for them to stand out during the application process?
So I think we kind of covered a lot of that. It's the big thing is with a lot of these, there's so many resumes that are being sent. One thing that I like to do is if there's an internship that I think I'd be a really, really good fit for, I would almost, wherever you could, cater your resume for that specific role. I'm not going to say go out and create 30 different resumes, but if you're applying for an accounting internship, you're going to want to harp a little bit more on your experiences with accounting. And it could be, to be honest, it could be any level of accounting, right? I mean, you could run the books and records on a family bakery, or you could do it on a family business. I mean, for me, my parents had a small business, and for the internships that I applied for in accounting, I would talk a little bit more about the accounts payable and accounts receivable, which were super important for those roles, less important for a finance role. So that's one thing that I'm not saying go out and create 30 resumes, but to make sure you have resumes that you could apply for specific roles, and make sure that an internship you think you'd be a good fit for. You read the characteristics of the role, and it says that you kind of meet all of the requirements. That's what I would do. And then internally, if it's at Bank of America, definitely send me an email or a LinkedIn note, and I'll forward to an HR contact, because that could, at a minimum, guarantee your resume is seen. I don't know how it works when you apply kind of to other firms, but some roles, there could be 10 spots and they're getting hundreds of applicants. So that'd be my advice on that. But live in Mary and Pat's office, because that's another way to guarantee that your resume is being seen by the folks at their respective firms, because they're reaching out for help for good candidates. So that's some things that I would definitely look into doing.
Thank you so much. That's really great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have another question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you see people within your firm who leave to go to corporate controller or corporate treasury positions, or are most people staying within banking?
So the max exodus of around COVID that you guys may have seen in the Wall Street Journal, I definitely saw it firsthand at both of the banks I was at. It's kind of slowed down right now because hiring, with the uncertainty of the market, has slowed a little bit. But if people do leave the big banks, they're typically staying within the finance industry, but potentially moving to more buy side or moving to other type of roles. I have seen some folks going to corporate controller roles, but it's not a ton. A lot of the folks that I've seen leaving have either stayed in the industry, moved to buy side.
When you say buy side, would you expand the definition, please?
Yeah, sorry. So the big banks, think Goldman, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, are going to be sell side. So it's illegal for us to take a position on. We can't say I think Apple's going to do well because I love my AirPods and they're going to do really well. Bank of America is not allowed to do that. So we could only sell. So those big banks are considered the sell side. Buy side are going to be more of your hedge funds, which can ultimately do really whatever they want. They could come in and buy used cars and sell them that way. Like, there's really no requirement for that. So some of those jobs, there's a little bit less requirements on the different hedge funds and things like that.
So pension funds and things like that?
More on the hedge fund side. So think of Apollo and Point72. Those are private equity firms, venture capital firms. Those are a little bit more of where we have seen people leave towards.
Wow.
Because those jobs, there's a lot less requirements and regulations around the hedge funds and the private equity firms. So they could do a little bit more fancy stuff that the banks, due to a lot of the different acts and legislature from 2007 and so on, prevented the big banks from doing. Realistically, to save us as an economy and individuals, the bigger the hedge funds and things like that could take a little bit more risk than banks can. So some folks like that side of it a little bit more as well.
Very interesting.
Let me ask you, Anthony, this: what qualities and traits do Bank of America look for when looking at applicants to maybe look for a potential internship or full-time role?
Yeah, really good question. So a really big thing is you want a whole-rounded individual. So I know a big thing that goes into that is diversity and inclusion is something that we pride ourselves on tremendously. We need to look like the different clients that we have. So it's very important to diversity and inclusion is a very, very big, important part of our firm. And then also you want to hire a really good, well-rounded individual and someone that you can see yourself be in the office with for 10, 12, 14 hours a day at times. So that's why it's always, whenever I'm doing hiring, I always want to ask of, what do you like to do when you're not here? Tell me about your family life. How do you like to spend your free time? Is it, some people like to volunteer or give back? It's important to hire the whole person. And I have to say quite confidently that our team does a really good job on it. because I've encountered some really, really tremendously great people over the last 7 or 8 years. And I continue to see that in all different departments that I've dealt with. So I'm very lucky to work for such a great firm.
Anyone's got any questions?
And also on that, kind of come back on the resume, if there's anything that you do that is volunteer work or anything like that, make sure to put that on your resume. I know for me, some of my really exciting things at FDU was we were involved in the Colleges Against Cancer group, and we did a really successful, I can't think of the name of the race, but it was a race to raise some money against cancer at Drew University, and things like that is very important. It's also, if you have a job off campus, if it's not finance related, you could be working at the mall or whatever it is, put that on there too, because it shows that while balancing your tough course loads at FDU, you're also doing things outside of the classroom. So whatever it is, and just get involved, volunteer. It's all things that we really like to look for and make sure it's on that resume of yours.
What, okay, all right. So what skills do you think, Bank of America is like looking for applicants, like to get into? Like, I know for accounting, it's like Excel and QuickBooks. Like, what types of skills and like that they would look at?
Yeah, really, really good question. So when I was in your shoes, Excel was the most important function that you had in your entire computer. So I took a class with Professor Jeff Shue, who is, I'm not sure if he's still there. Awesome professor. I would say take that class. If he offers any other electives or anything, take all of those computer science classes, because Excel, you need to know how to master it. My first question I ask when I interview any undergrads is, tell me your favorite Excel function. I don't care what it is. There's no wrong answers. But if someone doesn't immediately know pivot tables, VLOOKUPs, HLOOKUPs, anything SUMIF, I know they're not going to be able to do well in the role. So take those classes very, very seriously. And in your free time, look for different electives. I'm not sure if the university offers them, but there's YouTube and all of that. There's a ton of free teachers out there. Do that. And then when I was applying, these two that I'm going to tell you, I'm not even sure if they were out yet, but I didn't even know they existed, was Tableau. If there's ever any opportunities to do some research and look into that, get certifications. If you have a satisfaction, if you could talk on an interview that you know how to work Tableau or you can enhance reports, that's immediately going to be a big one up on the competition. Because when I was in college, I didn't even know it existed. And there's another one that I don't know all that well, but it's called Alteryx. If there's any opportunity for you to look into that, I would definitely look into that as well and look to do that. And then from the finance perspective, you guys are incredibly lucky. I missed it, but that Bloomberg portal, or the Bloomberg, I'm not sure what it's called on campus, but that Bloomberg classroom, I would be in there a few hours a day, learn how to use Bloomberg, because if you have an interview and you could say on there that you know how to use Bloomberg and actually know how to use it, and there's any kind of certifications you can get, that can absolutely help. And those are 3 or 4 different things that are going to help you when you're in the role do really well and shorten that learning curve, but B, could help put you in that seat to put you ahead of the other competition that might not know about those things. So that's a really, really good question. Excel, have to know a mastery level of it at a minimum of just your main functions, pivot tables, VLOOKUPs. Anything more than that is great. And also Alteryx and Tableau. So if there's any kind of electives or things like that, I would take those. I'm sure there's classes that may be more interesting or potentially a little bit easier, but from a career enhancement and well-being of being a student of Silberman, those computer science classes are going to be tremendously valuable.
Would that include statistics packages, or is that something that's not as important?
I'm sure that's definitely important for different parts of the industry. I haven't looked as much around statistics in my day-to-day, but I'm sure there's tons of parts of the industry where that's very important and valuable. So absolutely.
Do you have any other people from FDU working in your office?
So not that I personally work with. I know we had one student that graduated last year that started in our Jacksonville office in an operations group. His name is currently is not coming to me right now, but so I sent him an email and welcomed him to the group. And then one intern is going to be starting in my department in our public finance investment banking group, starting in the summer of 2024. So there's definitely some folks from the bank around the group, and I am trying my absolute best to get resumes in the important people's hands to make decisions. So hopefully there's more FDU students in a year from now than there are today, and we can continue that ball rolling, because I enjoyed my time at the school, I enjoyed my time at the bank, and there's definitely a lot of good overlap there.
It's wonderful to hear.
Any last questions?
Did you ask about taping and that he knows that this is going to be viewed by other people? Just let him know now so that before we post.
Anthony, is this okay, that we're recording this meeting, because we're gonna put this meeting up, on our YouTube channel for our members who cannot make
Yeah.
today's meeting? Okay.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything that I said today, I would have definitely felt comfortable speaking and having out there. So I definitely appreciate that, and not a problem at all.
Okay.
No, I appreciate that. And guys, reach out to me on LinkedIn if you ever have anything. And Jack, and please feel free to give my email out to everyone. I'm always happy to, wherever I can, jump on and help mentor students, because I can say with 100% certainty, without the folks at FDU, I'm not where I am today. So it's just a really fun thing for me to help out and give back to the students at FDU, because I enjoyed my time there so much.
And thank you so much, Anthony, for coming and speak to us today.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thanks,
nice
bye-bye.
day. Bye.
Thank you.
Gloria, can you stay on, please?
Yeah, sure. But I have my class soon, so I can't stay much.
I know.
You want to make the announcements for, I think Ricky gave me his application for,
Okay, I haven't gotten that, so did you give them to Donna?
he emailed me.
Okay,
the form.
just forward it to me then.
Okay, and then Joe, he told me that he gave a check to Donna for the dues and everything, I don't know.
So Joe, did you, PDF leave an application with Donna too?
No, I did not actually.
Okay, well, you have to either leave one with Donna, or you can fill one out and email it, that's fine.
I'll do that.
It was on our email we sent out today, so I put the, for anyone who's interested, like last minute, if they want to fill it out, they can do that.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, next week's meeting is gonna be surgeon review, be coming and speak to us, and, yeah.
And Gloria, just then before you go, can you give a heads up about the meeting on Wednesday? When is it?
You mean for surgeon?
No, for you and me and Jack.
Yes, I mean for Wednesday, I already emailed you for the time. I was wondering if 1 p.m. is going to work.
Yes, the time is fine. I'm just trying, if you don't want to say it now, that's fine, but I'd like to know, can you send an idea about what you'd like to talk about first?
Yeah, sure. I would prefer to discuss it in a meeting, because I don't think it's gonna because I have some points to say, so I'm not sure if it's gonna fit in an email.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone.
All right, that's it, everyone. Great rest
Have
of
a
your
nice
week.
day. Bye.
Bye.
Wait,
Thank you.
Dr. Collier,
Yes, Joseph.
on Jack's email, it says send the form to BAP at FDU. Do you want me to
Yeah.
send it there?
Yeah.
You can send it there, then Jack will forward it to me.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
That's it.